Hello my friends, hello everyone in the stream chat. We're starting a bunch of people already in the chat. I see Mark D, the photo guy, Frank Eichler. So we have a few people already there. So say hi to everyone in the chat and where you're coming from. And then we're going to start straight to getting this printer up and running. Okay, super nice. I think from my end everything looks green. We can start in a second. And yeah, we have 13 people coming already, 13 people on the stream. Hi. Photo guy from Denmark, hello. Let me know where you're coming from. Today, this stream is about the QIDI X-Plus 3. This is a bigger printer, so something around 278 millimeter build volume. I'm just checking the tech specs one more time to see if I have everything that I need for today. Yeah, 280 by 280 by 270 millimeter print volume this printer has. And we're gonna go through some of the specs in the course of the stream. And if you have any questions, if you want to know facts about this printer, we'll definitely cover that. This printer has been sent to me by QIDI. It literally arrived today during the day, and I decided that I'm going to unbox it right away because it's pretty hot at the moment, and I'm quite excited to get this printer running, hopefully. And without further ado, let's have a look at the chat. Wolfgang is from Germany, Mark from Manchester, J. David from Texas, Frank is from Berlin. Welcome everyone, and yeah, let's get started. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat. Just making one more thing, checking one more thing here for the stream, that we also have our bot up and running. Yes, so it seems to be working. Simao is from Portugal. Yeah, welcome. Welcome from Germany. So, this printer, let's get it out of this plastic cover. I've taken it out of the cardboard box because it's not easy to handle that in the studio. Anyways, so let's have a look what we get with this printer. So let's see where we start. Also on this side maybe. Yeah, this is a pretty massive box, and the cardboard packaging is also pretty large. I think I'm gonna cut it. Just going to cut it because it's probably easier. So let's see. For me, this is an interesting printer because it's of course not a bamboo. Some people will say, what about the situation, this printer versus the Bamboo X1 or even the P1P? I can imagine that this might be a question. I have the same questions. I think that this printer is probably somewhere in the middle, and for one major reason, and that's because it has an enclosure and a heated chamber. And it's supposed to be printing quite fast. On the other hand, it doesn't support multicolor printing, so there is no AMS as with the bamboos. But yeah, that's how they are probably mostly different. Let's see if we can get it out of the middle here. This inside here. Yeah, not that easy, obviously. Got some stuff here in the middle that we want to take out now. Come out. Yeah, that's the problem if you have a higher table. But that problem can be fixed. So, we have to get this cardboard box out first. Because it's... Come on, is this somewhat taped in? I have no idea. What's going on, my friends, here? Ah! Okay, so this is some tools, accessories, spool, holder, somewhat. Okay, there's more. Yeah, this is why it's so heavy. There is some kind of spool compartment. I've seen the video about the unboxing, so briefly watch that. This printer comes with a filament dry box that gets connected directly to the PTFE tube with the printer, so filament is always going to stay in this dry box while printing. So more packaging. Who else is there? The photo guy is asking, is it a Sowell SV06 Plus you have running in the background? Indeed. I just did some update to this printer, updated the firmware of the SV06 Plus yesterday, recalibrated everything, and now I am printing a 0.2 millimeter square on the bed just to see whether the leveling is fine and whether we have the same distance everywhere. So far it's looking good. And the SV06, I had another issue the other day because my 2-day print, or almost 2 days printing, the Azure Cloudworm stopped printing basically just somewhere in the middle because I had some extrusion problem, no nozzle clogging, but probably I'm going to leave the plastic cover in this protection foil for some minutes. And I had some issues with the retraction settings on the printer. Probably had the retraction set to not to the wrong value, but I had too many retractions in a specific amount of printing distance because I worked on a Prusa slicer profile and that wasn't tuned in well, and now probably I have made some changes up, but it's still not perfect. Anyways, Alexander is from Bosnia. Hi, thanks for joining today. And Bogdan saying hello. Hello everyone. So we are just here, like probably have to go a little bit back and up again so we can see the whole thing. I think this is better now. So you can see more of the printer. Let's continue. We have a few more things to get out of this massive case. And we have not enough space here. So some plastic protection here. Let's put this also to the side. What else? More foam boxes. One thing I can tell is that it's really protected quite well for transportation. So that is for sure. So this is pretty much everything in terms of foam, but there is more zip ties inside. There is a procedure now, as far as I can tell from the unboxing video, that we have to follow, or we should follow a certain procedure that's going to be on the display, so we can just put the power cable in and then follow the instructions what we need to do in terms of cutting zip ties, calibrating access. So as far as I can see, there's a few things there. And starting up means, yeah, plug in the power and then we have to unlock all of the parts. Yeah. So what else is in the box? We get some power cable, obviously. So shut the door. We need that. And I will show you in a second what else comes with the printer. So we get the filament dry box and some filament in here. Probably some testing filament. Ultra ABS GF25. So yeah, why not? That is probably the material that you want to print when you get an enclosed printer like this. We got some tools here, glue stick, a replacement nozzle. As far as I know, this printer has a high temperature nozzle or it has actually two high temperature nozzles coming. The only difference between these two nozzles is the actual tip. So one is hardened steel, the other one is brass. So you have something that you can use for different materials and you have some spare part. That's nice. Ethernet cable, so one of the rare printers that can not only connect to Wi-Fi but also has Ethernet if you want that instead of Wi-Fi. And then some tools in here, a spool holder. That's probably going to attach somewhere outside. Let's take everything out. And scraper, I think that's it. Nothing more. So, massive box, lots of stuff. The ABS, let's have that on the side for a second. Any more questions so far? Should we clarify some specifications maybe of this device? Let's turn it this way. So I can hopefully have it so that you can see it and I can also see what's going on from the front side. Okay, so let's, just a second. Here we go. This looks better now. So we have the printer booting up. Hopefully you can see everything. Yeah, let's keep most of the printer frame in the middle. Oh, you can already see that its internal lights went on. Here we have to select a language first. Let's go for English. Okay, so we did take out the top cover. Yes. This is the unboxing instructions. So first step here is to take out all of the foam. Remove the zip ties that fix the print head. So there is a few places where we have to cut. Let's do all of them now. So there's a few up here, carefully not cutting anything else. This is something that you probably can see from the top. So here is a few things covering up the print head. Where is the zip tie now? It's going around somewhere here. Oh my goodness. Still difficult to do this. I need to push this head a bit to the side. This is easier now. Come on. So here we go. There is one more zip tie, the longer one, around the print head. That was fixing the print head in its position. So let's push it back. Now that looks good. We have 4 massive zip ties here that we also have to cut. So what else? On the left side there's also one. Carefully not to cut any belt or something. And we have these 4 massive zip ties inside. Oops. Number 1. Two. 3. 4. So let's double check with the instructions. Let's see, is everything done so far? So we've got these zip ties here, left, right, 4. I think that's it. Then 4 screws that fix the bed. So there is 4 attachment screws. Do we have to remove them completely? Yes. Yeah, that's a little difficult here for me to do without... I don't have access to this right now. Without turning the printer. So this is a little better. So we have 4, 2 on the left hand side, 2 on the right hand side. I'm going to undo them. So which driver works? This is the right one. Number 1 is out. Number 2 undone. Oh my goodness, this is really fixed so well. I mean, I can't really complain. It's probably very, very good to have everything fixed in place for transportation so nothing can break. Better than having some stuff flying around when this gets shipped from China. So, number 4. We have 4 screws undone. What else? Auto-moving platform. So it's coming up now. A little bit at least. So there's more foam underneath to take out. take out the packaging foam. I did. And there's also 2 plastic pieces that we have to take out. And now the print head seems to be initializing, at least it's like calibrating now. So far so good. Hey everyone, 3D Puke from... Where are you coming from, 3D Puke? Mark, Mitch, hey all, the QIDI range is certainly interesting. Yeah, I've seen this, I think I wasn't aware of all these printers from QIDI. I've just seen the product range and it's really broad. So there is like small printers and then very large printers, and they have around about, I don't think, less than 10 printers maybe, but somewhat around 10 printers, 8 printers. Never used one of those printers before, so I'm really curious how these are in terms of the print quality, build quality, the results that we can expect, how easy they are to use. So far, there wasn't any questions for me. Now the printer seems to be initializing the build platform. Hey, it's 3DPUK. I'm 3DPUK. 3D Puke. Sorry for that. That was like unintended misspelling of your alias. Oh my goodness. So let's have a look. What does the menu tell us? Calibration. Let's have you read this a bit closer. I hope you can see that. Let's get a little closer. So, calibration, use the up-down buttons on the right to adjust the platform height. Make sure that the nozzle is just touching the leveling paper so that there's a little resistance. That's rather default on other printers. I wasn't expecting that. I was seeing the intro video for this printer and I was wondering, hey, they still use some kind of calibration sheet to define the perfect distance. On the other hand, this printer does have a bed leveling probe, so that's probably just to make sure that the initial distance is correct and it doesn't have LiDAR or such stuff. So yeah, let's put this sheet in between. For now you can't see that, but it's just right in the middle between the nozzle and the print bed. And I'm bringing this down now. I'm not sure in which direction I should actually move it. Should I bring the platform up? Probably. The question is, which direction? Is this the direction of the print bed or yeah, the platform height? Okay, so let's bring it up until we have some resistance. Interesting enough, there is like 0.05, 0.01, 0.1 and 1 millimeter steps, but I can probably do 0.1. We are still quite far from the nozzle. So I'm getting closer. And then I will show you what happens here. So here we are. I think now you can see it a bit better now. Still some reflections. Well, the display is pretty bright. That's where we are. So I have this sheet in here and sitting between the nozzle and the print bed. I'm bringing up the platform even further, so we at some point will probably feel that there is some nozzle touching the bed and we have some resistance. Now we have probably that point where I can push it in, and I will slightly bring it down, just a tiny bit. So that we have some resistance, but not too much. Yeah, I think that's good. That's good. So I can still like push it in quite easily without any problems, but it's still touching. I can still feel something. That's it. And now it's doing the 16-point bed leveling, as it tells on the display. I'm wondering why the display is so hard to read from here, because I can read it pretty well when I'm directly behind. Yeah, this is better. So doing the calibration now. It's just going around. Let's see this from the top. And it's doing its 16 points of calibration. What is happening in the chat? Z offset, still manual, unfortunately. I agree. It shouldn't be. Totally agree that this should be automatic. On the other hand, it's probably something that we do once and then probably not so many times. Probably if we swap out the build plate or something, then this might be necessary. But on the other hand, you probably have to do this very, very rarely. Looking good. So it's now doing its calibration. What is the Sovol SV06 doing in the meanwhile? Yeah, I was wondering why, especially in the middle, the Sovol has probably the highest point where it is closer to the nozzle. I was wondering, because I did this calibration. I will probably do a short video in tomorrow or something to show you the results of the print bed calibrations. Anyways, this is probably going to an end here. Let's have a look at the chat. Does it require their slicer? We will probably have to check that. I'm downloading the slicer software from their website, so we have it already downloaded and installed. In the meanwhile, because last time it took quite a while on my PC to download the software and then install the program. So let's do that. In the background, QIDI print Windows. Okay. For Windows. Let's get this downloaded. So, what's happening in the chat? It runs Clipper. You can use any slicer. Yeah, that's what I've heard. It runs Clipper. The question is, how much does that influence which slicer settings you need? Still, Clipper is one thing, and the other thing is that the control board that drives Clipper, or the remote board that drives Clipper, that might be anything, and that can probably also done through some Raspberry Pi. I don't know yet. I think today we're just using the internal electronics to do any printing. For my eyes, it looks like the platform is going up and down every button press. That's right. When you press up and down button, it just like when you say we want to move it up, it goes up a bit, or it goes like makes this movement and then goes down slightly. I think it's just to make sure that you're not running the nozzle into something and then it's still backing up a bit. That's my guess here. That's the way Clipper does set offsets more precise. Yeah, probably that is the reason. Interesting that it is running Clipper. So probably some way to tinker around with this printer. Makes it quite exciting to some of you. Let's have a look at the bed leveling results, because it's quite interesting to see how precise the surface is. So we have, let's go through the numbers quickly. So we're like roughly around 0 here. This is the 0 point in the back. And then the deviations go from, I think, minus, what's the largest number here? Minus 0.54. I think we have nothing larger than this. So it seems that the biggest deviation is actually here in the front right, and it has 0.154 difference to the back left. Yeah, nothing that I've not seen on other printers, to be honest. But also not something that you need to worry, that can be compensated through bed leveling. On the other hand, like the middle part looks pretty consistent, and also anything else here around except these 3 points in the right lower corner. That seems to be a little off. For some reason, nothing crazy, but it's like, it's something that, yeah, that's really different. Like these front L, so these 4 points actually are a little lower, so to say, than the rest. Anything else is pretty consistent. Input shaper, now probably going to shake around the print head quite a bit, making some noise. Let's see. Okay, so the print head is now doing its input shaping calibration, making the usual noise that goes up and up and up and up, frequencies to test what the vibrations are, where the vibrations are, where the resonances are. Hey! No, there is no bed leveling screws. The bed is fixed. The only thing that we had to do in the beginning is to put this specific calibration sheet in and put it in between the nozzle and the print bed and make sure that we are feeling some resistance, and the expectation is that this is everything that we have to do manually, no other adjustments to be done. And now it's doing the input shaping calibration. I don't know if you can hear this. The frequency is going up and up. Good. We have to wait until this is done. In the meanwhile, I can probably attach the filament spool holder. So we have done that already. Why not? It's going to the back side. Simple attachment just here. And I'm going to look for some filament, some PLA for now. Some sample red. Let's use red filament. Yeah, input shaping is always fun. I don't know if you can hear this. Oh, no, is this already done now? Yeah, let's have a look at the display in a sec. So, let me take out the filament. Oh no, it's starting all over. Oh, now it's shaking. That sounds like a tractor, and now it's more becoming a race car. If you would wish to do so, you could level the bed perfectly with copper tape, depending on the type which you place under the print bed. I see no need to do that. Yeah, I think this sheet here has a specific thickness, and that should be fine, right? In the end, you can always like do some initial test print, like I've done it here on the Sovo now, where I'm printing this like this 0.2 millimeter high square. I can show it to you. Let's see. It's not working today. Phone camera sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't work. Today it's not working. But anyways, we have to wait for the calibration to complete now. Can't do anything else. Oh yes. Actually, I really like that more and more printers don't have these leveling screws anymore. There's still printers being released at the moment that have these adjustment knobs, but actually, if you think about it, if you have at least if your frame is square, if it's straight, if you have dual set screws, dual set axis motors, and if you have a bed leveling probe, you can probably, like Prusa has this since years now, there is no bed leveling screws on those. Like, I mean, you can still make tiny adjustments on the print bed, but you don't have to. Normally you don't have to do that. It is really if you only have to do super precise prints, but most of us don't have to. And I have no issues with these Sobol printers, for example, for the tests that I've done so far. They are pretty much, they have a pretty straight, pretty flat surface, and the leveling works quite fine. So from that point, I don't see a reason why we need these adjustment knobs anymore. Like V-rail printers might be an exception because they are so, probably they are not precise enough. But if you have these dual rails for the y-axis, I think there's not really a need for that. All right, there's interesting discussion going on in the chat. People are, yeah, you are the experts, obviously, Clipper experts in the room. No one's talking about Marlin Firma anymore. Everyone's just talking about Clipper. And I really like that we have these kind of different options now, that we can go for the best option every single time. We can choose something, test it out, and then if we don't like it, we can also go for something else. We are not bound to anything anymore in that regard. I really love that. For the Sobol printers, there is a Clipper option now. People have done it already. You've seen me testing the Sobol printers, and now I'm really curious to see how this works on this printer. So what have we, I think we have reached the next step in the calibration or the introduction wizard. Keep pushing. Where do we start? Well, let's wait for the beginning. Okay, we were supposed to load the filament. Keep pushing the filament into the filament run out sensor until you reach the extruder. Well, that's rather manual, it looks like. I'm not really, I mean, I could use this dry box. We could use the dry box to put the filament inside. There's not going to be a difference for my testing purposes, so I'm not going to use the dry box for now. I will use it for filament that requires, or where a dry box makes sense. But like just for the PLA that I have here, it doesn't really, it's not really required. So the thing that we have to do now, on the back side of the printer, we have to insert the filament. Can't show this to you at the moment. Maybe I could, if my phone camera would be working. Let's give it one last try. Let's just try this one more time. So let's see if it works. At the moment it seems not to be connecting for some reason. So you cannot see my phone camera. Anyways, I'm just doing what is shown here on screen. I'm pushing the filament in. There is the filament runout sensor, and I'm just pushing the filament through and then pushing it into the tube until it reaches the nozzle. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's going to be it. So, nothing critical here, and next it's heating up. Click left side plus button to heat, to set a nozzle temperature. So what we can do is go for 215 for the PLA. And it's coming up pretty fast, I would say. Good. Almost there. Yeah, that was quite quick. Waiting for temperature to reach the setting. Okay, so we should be there in a second. We probably can just hit next now. Ensure the filament into the extruder. Click below button for loading until the filament comes out. The English could be better, I guess. Let's do this. So the question is, do I have to push this button myself now, or what's the point? Is it click below button until? Okay. Let's see. I'm holding it. Let's come down with the camera a bit. Here we go. So, yeah, here we go. Here's the nozzle. I'm pushing this button. Not seeing anything for now. I'm not sure if the filament is actually moving. Is it? Oh, I have to tap the button. I'm holding the button doesn't really do anything. It's tapping the button. I can see the filament is coming out. Our red filament is already there. That looks good. Yeah, there we go. Good, next. Guide tutorial finished. Okay. So, what is next in this menu. So let's take out this Exceed filament. Next in the menu we have acceleration settings based on Clipper. That's probably something that's quite static in terms of being shown here. Cortex, that was also an interesting detail, that this thing has a... Oh, you can't see anything. I'm sorry, why can you not see anything? Why is the camera black? What is happening? Why is it not showing anything? Since when do we have an outage? What's going on? Camera's not showing anything anymore. Now it's working. Strange. Okay, I was just saying that on the display it also tells us that it is a Cortex A3053 processor that is a 64-bit processor, quite unusual for a 3D printer in my opinion. No, I've not seen any other 64-bit printers so far. Why was the screen black? Interesting. Camera was just not working for a few seconds. So let's double check. Filament is in. We should be good to go for some printing. The question is there any sample files on here? So no USB drive. The usual loading, unloading menu, calibration menu, network connectivity menu, languages. Okay, so there's no files on the printer, so we probably have to use this USB stick that comes if we want to start something from that. So let me double check if there's anything on this USB stick. Where is the slot for this? Interesting question. Where is the USB port on this printer? Okay, not. Probably it's just too dark here. I don't know where it is. So, feeling quite stupid. Oh, it's at the top. Oh my goodness. Like, okay. Oh, like who designed this? Honestly, the USB port is at the top. It's not on any other side, or not on the side, not on the back, not on the front. It is top of the case. In the, like, I was like, this is the last place I was looking for. Okay, funny enough, we have this SD slicer software. Okay, there is no example files. Fair enough. I will take the file from their website because they have provided some examples on the website. So let us download this to the USB stick. So you cannot see what I'm doing at the moment. I'm downloading this example file from the QIDI website and putting it on the USB stick. Now let's come back to the display and let's check whether this works now. USB stick is in. There is a SpeedBenchy 15 minutes print time, estimated print time 15 minutes. Now this is the moment of truth, whether this is really true is this bench really coming out in 15 minutes? And it's somewhat decent quality. So let's start. And let's move the camera a little more down so we can more easily see what's going on inside. And probably I will swap out. Well, the question is, can we see enough here? Or do we need to come closer? Let's see. You know what? I'm going to move the printer a little further towards the camera. And I will keep it here. So the countdown has started, 15 minutes are running, and the camera is off. Why is it? What's happening? My goodness. Here we go. I think there is a cable problem with my camera, but let's see. Black picture, yeah, I've seen that quick enough to fix it. But my camera seems to have the HDMI cable seems to have a problem, so I'm not touching it anymore for the next 15 minutes. You should be seeing this picture right now where we have the printer nozzle, and it is heating up at the moment. So I'm keeping the printer open because I want to have the camera pointing at the nozzle. We're not closing the front and the top. And then I'm going to show you from time to time what the printer is doing. I think we're good. What was the question? Okay. It's going to be tough to decide. So CDS makes stuff. It's going to be tough to decide between building of our own or buying with all the Core XY clipper machines that will probably show up this year. That is probably the topic. That is the thing this year. There is going to be more of these printers coming. And the point of building your own printer, and I was tempted, really hardly tempted to buy a Voron printer. And I think if I will do it, then I will probably go for the biggest one, the 350 millimeter, because then this has the advantage that I have a very large build volume, and I probably use a very large nozzle for that. So to have a printer that is capable of printing really large things, that would be my point. There would be no point if you have this printer and the Bamboo Lab and maybe printers like the Sovo, and like if you have printers that are pretty good, not very fast sometimes, but good enough. I think the thing for the Voron is you want to build the printer from scratch. Like you want to invest dozens of hours and have fun, versus you just want to print. If you really need to print, or you want to print, if you have a little business or something and you need to get going, then this is probably better, right? This is a choice that makes more sense. So let's have a look how this is going to work, if it works. So first layer going down. The question is, can we keep the camera in a position where we can see this? But I think it's good. Okay, so second layer coming down. Oh, okay, third layer coming down. Yeah. This looks quite fast. Honestly, this looks quite fast. My whole table is shaking now. Crazy stuff. So, Mark Mitch says, the support is one thing swaying me to QIDI over others. So I would be curious to learn from people like you, like what is the support? How is it different? What did you hear? Do you have any experience with these kind of printers versus other brands? Because I've seen the pricing for QIDI printers, especially the bigger ones, and I think they are more expensive than others. And my question is, is it really, is this reflected in the quality of the service? Let's try to fix the... Here we go, this looks better now. Okay. More questions. I was really impressed, and honestly, it made me feel a lot better about the product. They seemed very open to hear about improvements. That's good to hear. And we're now doing the 15-minute Banshee. Let's see what we can expect in terms of the quality. Yeah, support was superb. Nice. So I think that there has been some good experiences with the support for this printer. I think this is one of the questions I always had with Bambu Lab is how good is the support? I've seen people complaining that they have been waiting for weeks for some replacement parts. And this is not good if you have something that is expensive as the Bambu X1 Carbon and you have a printer that is not working for several weeks. And you want to use it for business purpose, that's really the worst case. Let's see. This looks so far quite okay. As far as I can tell, the Banshee, like from the side, looking at the layer lines, is not bad, right? I've seen worse. I've seen really worse examples than this. Alexander says, this is very fast, starting to look like Replicator from Star Trek. Well, we're not quite there yet, but at least we are pretty fast printing these example prints. And honestly, when it comes to bigger things, I would not try to go that fast. I would always try to look for the best print quality versus the print speed. If you're really looking for the best possible result with external surface quality, you will have to slow down. But that the point is, even if you go lower, and if you go really slow with this printer, you're pretty much probably twice as fast, if not faster than a normal printer. But you can go with 100 millimeter per second or 150 and still have superb quality. And three times the speed of another printer. So this is why it's still worth it to go with these kind of faster printers now, even if you're not going for the fastest possible print speeds. Heated chamber, yeah, that's one of the things that they also advertise, is that they have a heated chamber that have a temperature controlled fan here where you can keep the temperature at a specific level. So this printer has many features that are quite like guided towards specific persona, I would say. People who want to print EBS, carbon fiber, people who are not looking so much for like multicolor fancy prints, but more on strong parts, quality prints, but single color obviously. And pricing wise, if you look at the price of this is around about 700-ish, $700, 700-ish euros. So somewhere, I would say like somewhere in the middle between the X1 Carbon and cheaper printers, but still like not too expensive. There is a bigger version now that's even larger, like I think 300 millimeter, or what was the size? I think there is a max version of this printer now. It's not X-Plus, but X-Max. And that is a bit larger. Yeah, that's 325 millimeters in each direction versus 280, and 270 with this printer. So even larger, around about 1,000, 1,100. So more expensive, obviously, but also quite fast. The question is really, what do you need? So I personally say, although I love the multicolor feature on the Bamboo, I'm not using it at the moment. I'm not really utilizing this, probably printing most of the time single color stuff. Yeah, as I say, Mark Mitch, multicolor is, there is specific, like probably multi-filament, multi-types of filament, which you want to have support material that is soluble, and you can like use that in combination with other materials, so you have like easier to remove supports. Then it makes sense to me to have a multicolor option, or at least to have two different materials. But like having 4, 8, 12, 16 colors on the Bamboo, sounds pretty tempting, but like the use cases are very like limited in terms of where do you need this, when do you need this. Is probably just a few times that you will use that. And the support material, yeah, as I say, this is probably one of the reasons for someone who is using this in a more professional way. Let's briefly look at the spec sheet, just to go through it. If you're curious, I was looking at that. Let's see if that works now. No. Local app, here we go. So this is the spec sheet, should just get you up to speed what this printer is capable of. Print speed 600 millimeters per second, 280 millimeter print volume, flow rate 35 cubic millimeter per second, acceleration 20,000. I think that's more relevant for the small parts. If you're printing very large, it doesn't make that such a huge difference anymore. Yeah, uses Clipper, has a 64-bit processor, 8 gigs of eMMC storage, Core XY, 9.51 gear ratio on the extruder, and prints very fast. Has these two different nozzles at the moment, hot ends with hardened steel and brass. Temperature chamber, which has a controlled temperature. What else? Heated chamber, yeah. Resonance compensation. These are I think the major things. And one thing that I was missing, which it doesn't have a camera. So if you're looking for a printer that can do time lapses out of the box, it doesn't have a camera, it doesn't have remote monitoring with a camera. That's probably one of the downsides. On the other hand, if you know now that it's running Clipper, you can probably just go and run your own external camera, attach that and trigger that. So that's probably for people who are a little experienced, not an issue. If you really want to go doing time lapses, which the Core XY is probably the best and the easiest to do with, then this is something I've seen people do it already. Like if I've seen some people posting stuff about time lapses with this printer. So 280 millimeter build plates. Honestly, I've like for the Adventure 4, for example, the Adventure 4 had a very specific size of print plate, and there wasn't one available on the market with the PI coating. At least when I got it, there wasn't yet a plate available. So I just took a bigger one and cut, like used my table saw with a metal blade and just cut something from, I think I just cut the back side, made it shorter, and also on the sides, and then just, it was fitting. I think you can take a bigger one and just make it the right size if you don't find something in the aftermarket. So I would say this is not really a problem if you just go for a bigger plate and then cut it to the right side. Some stringing, some ringing, yeah, you're right probably. Let me have a closer look. There might be some ringing going on, yeah? You're right. There is also some layer problems in the lower part. Nothing. We'll take a closer look in a second when it's done. Yeah, I can see some issues with this Benchy. This isn't the prettiest I've ever seen, but it is probably one of the fastest ones. By the way, I was just taking off this testing sheet from my from the Sobol SV06 Plus. So I've printed this 0.2 millimeter sheet, which is covering the whole build plate, and just to figure, do I have the right settings? Is the calibration working? Some issues left. There is a diagonal line going here. I have to figure out what that means. Probably there is some filament piling up in the middle. And interesting enough, to the sides it looks totally fine in both directions, but just the diagonal line here in the middle has some weird problem. But anyways, like, we're getting there. Every day we improve a little bit here. The photo guy is printing multicolor signs. Interesting. Record is 8 colors at the same time. Manually switching between colors. I can imagine that printing a sign is easier because you have specific layers where you're changing the colors. Is that right? Benchy speed testing obsession is... Yeah, I know. Everyone does it. I think the point to prove here was that you can go quite fast with this printer for prototyping purposes. And honestly, I didn't believe that this would make any difference to me. Like when I was using my Ender printers, bed slingers, being quite happy to tune a little bit out of them and get a little faster and do a little more acceleration and a few millimeter per second here and there. And then I got a really fast printer, the Bamboo Lab, and I had some projects going on where I wanted to prototype something like during the day. If you just imagine that you can prototype something twice or 3 times a day to test it out because of some, oh, we're done, versus you can only do it once a day. That makes a really large difference for someone who is trying to build something and trying to do some engineering. So here we go. The Benchy is done now. Let's take it off. Trying to get here in focus. Okay, so let me see if we can have a closer look now. Okay, so as we've seen, we have some problems here. Let's start at the bottom. So yeah, we need some light to do this. Here we go. So at the bottom we have some, I would say some quality issues, probably some tiny issues here at the back. Yeah, here we go. There's a larger blob here. So that is, yeah, probably a little kind of under extrusion problem, something temperature related. Let's look at the shape. A little bit of an elephant foot here. And then as we've seen, there is ringing going on here at the bow here in this area. Pretty obvious. And the vibration compensation cannot really get away or cannot remove that, obviously. Then what about stringing? I think we have no stringing going on. Still this bow here, the door, that I don't like that so much. It's not really nicely shaped. Same here for this window. So these overhangs don't look pretty. Let's have a look at the top. Yeah, the top surfaces don't look that great. Look at this. This isn't really the best surface that you want. Here we have some gaps. It is not completely closed. So not enough extrusion going on here and not enough time to extrude. Still, well, this is a speed benchy, so we shouldn't expect wonders. On the other hand, let me see which one do we want here. So on the other hand, it is just a speed benchy, so it was to be proven that we can print something somewhat decent in 15 minutes. If you think about your first 3D printer, I had benchies on my first printer that looked worse than this, and it was printing at 50 millimeters per second. So that's what we're looking at, right? And the material, honestly, this is some material that is, it's a metallic red, and I know that this material is a little difficult because it probably needs more temperature and it is not very high flow. Normally I print it quite slow, so probably there's better material for this kind of thing. But honestly, like as I said, I've seen worse benchies from printers that print at normal print speeds that we would consider slow now. And so I would say we can be quite happy with the result. So let's put that back here so we can have a little more chat. So what do you think about this? Let's bring it closer now. 16 minutes, as it says on the display. Speed benchy is successfully done. My friends. So let's have a look. Speed benchy successfully done. This is it. We can have a look at the build quality now. We can have a little tour of the printer now. What is, how does it look like? What else do we get with the printer? One more time. I did forget to show you this top cover because I didn't want to use it for this print now, because otherwise we couldn't have a look from the top. So this is the plastic cover that comes with the printer to have more temperature control. It just goes on top, and then you have, like, you can easily remove it if you need access. That's going to keep your temperature in. That's okay. Quality looks good. So let's have a little tour here. I'm going to take my other camera now, show you a few things that I've seen already. Let's take this one. So one thing that raised my attention already is the door. I mean, I like that we have a door, but the door is plastic, so that is not a glass door like on the bamboos. The other thing is that it doesn't really open that wide, so it's really stopping right here. So it's 90 degrees open now, and it's like, you've seen it. If I wanted to push it a little bit to the side because I want to get in front of the printer, I'm standing here. I always have this door. Don't like it that much. I wish it would just open maybe just a few more degrees to the side. What else? One thing on the interior, most of the things here that we can see are plastic. We have dual rails, we have these metal rails. There's no linear rails going on here. The PEI coated plate looks fine to me. Probably quite useful for any kind of material. On the outside, we have mostly plastic. I mean, I didn't see any metal from the outside, so there is literally plastic everywhere. So depends, or independently from the sides that you're looking at, this is all plastic. The screen is quite reactive. I think that is quite good, so no issues here. It's also bright, you can read it quite well, so I wouldn't complain about that. But as you see, like, the whole thing is mostly plastic. We have interior lighting, which is quite good. It's really bright, although we have studio lights here, like additional lights, but still the inside of the printer is black, and it's really, you can see quite well what's going on inside. So if you would run a camera and a time-lapse setup with this interior lighting, I think that's totally fine. You see it here. This is the difference, right? Pretty bright. So running a time-lapse setup with this kind of lighting setup is really good. That's actually better than in the bamboos, because the bamboo only has a little light bar on the left-hand side, and if you run time-lapses with just that little light, the camera has all kinds of blurring going on, quality issues. I wouldn't say that these are the nicest time lapses that I've ever seen. So adding an additional light on top, that's what I've seen a lot of people doing for the bamboo time lapses. They add an additional light and have it shining through the top lid, because then the quality of the images is much better. But this one doesn't have any camera anyways, so it's completely up to you how you do that now. Then we have some fans. I think this is what this fan is doing. I'm not sure, because it has what it is cooling, not clear to me at the moment. We have a ventilation fan here on the right-hand side. That's for the temperature control. And there seems to be a filter. At least I think it has something. I might be wrong. But at least this is the fan that controls, here on the right hand side, that is there to control the chamber temperature. Besides that, yeah, most stuff is plastic. There's probably a metal frame inside. that we cannot see at the moment. I think the inner frame where everything is mounted to is metal brackets. So there is a cube inside here, inside of the plastic. This is definitely metal, but everything the backside seems to be plastic parts. Time lapses are such a gimmick. Ah, this is the heater. Yeah, this could absolutely be. There seems to be some kind of a element inside with a grill. That could make sense that this is the heater. I was wondering, is it really necessary to have an additional heater in the chamber if you have the heat bed, let's say, heated up at 100 degrees anyways? But might be, yeah, might be an additional thing to do, to have it heat up faster, or if it's very cold in this room, and have the air circulating a little bit better, then you would have a more evenly distributed heat instead of just having lower. I think that was also in the documentation that it is more evenly distributed in the chamber versus having a very hot surface and then the temperature is like decreasing quite a lot to the top. Good. Time lapses are such a gimmick. I think, well, that's a personal preference. I think I like time lapses quite a lot. I like to make them. People like to watch them, at least, and it is something that is more from a photography perspective interesting to me personally, using cameras and editing videos. I think that's just my personal point here, why I like the time lapses. But also, honestly, of course, if you are just going into printing functional things, time lapses are the last thing that you're thinking about, right? So you're thinking about getting the result as fast as you can. So that's probably where everyone is most of the time. So what I would like you to do, because we're somewhat reaching the end of this, at least for tonight, because it was just a very spontaneous live stream to test out this printer, get it out of the box, see if it's working. What I would like you to do now is, once this stream ends, so please do me one favor, hit the like button if you like this. And then after this is going live, it's probably going live tomorrow, because YouTube needs several hours to process the data now and make it public. After the stream has gone public as a video tomorrow, go into the comment section of this video, think about what I should test with this printer, what tests should I do. Point me into any direction where you have either some model that you would like me to print. So if you want to have something specific model that I should try out on this printer. I have several multicolor filaments here that are pretty nice, so we could think about that. If you have anything related to technical tests that I should do in terms of the clipper, then I will just point me into the right direction if you have something that you would like to test me on this printer, and then we'll make it happen over the next couple of weeks, so we get to do the final review where, like, I make the concluding statement whether this is any good, usable, and what are the pitfalls, what are the downsides, things that I ran into during my test. So just point me there, say, please have a look at this, I'm interested in that, and tell me in the comments tomorrow. Don't put it in the chat here, because the chat will be there to rewind, but it's for me easier if you just leave a comment in the video that's going to be public probably in a bunch of hours, right? So I would say with that, I will close it. Thanks for watching this this live stream. Happy to have everyone here. We had around about 30 concurrent viewers this time. 40 was the top, 40 people watching the stream. Thanks for coming, thanks for leaving your chat messages, thanks for interacting with each other. And we can continue discussing on the Discord. I'm opening up new chat groups there. I opened up 2 additional ones for the Solo printers now. I will add another chat group for the QIDI printers, at least for this model. So you can, we can discuss there. You can ask questions. Also point me to things that you would like to know. And then we're gonna meet each other on Discord or back here in the next live stream or the next video that I'm gonna post. In the meanwhile, I'll keep you updated with the shorts. I hope you don't dislike the shorts that I'm posting, because that's currently very easy for me to do. Have a lot of things going on, so I can do a daily quick video about something that I tested to keep you updated, and that's what's quite easy for me, and that doesn't require so much work in terms of the video process. Let's see. And I'm gonna meet you next time. I'm looking really forward to get your comments tomorrow to see what you want me to do. See you next time. Bye-bye.